Today is September 17th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and 12 traditions. Today on the Big Book, we are going to continue our journey through Chapter 5, How It Works. We'll be reading page 66. At the 12 and 12, we'll be continuing our journey through Step 10 by reading page 92. And of course, we'll read today's daily reflection and 24 hours a day. So with that, my friends, hope you all are doing well this morning. Once again, we've been given a brand new set of 24 hours, and that is always a good thing because there's an opportunity to change. Hey, just grateful to be alive today. So with that, let's get to the good stuff. Chapter 6, How It Works, page 66. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic, whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. We turned back to the list, for it held the key to our future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way that they disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we should say to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done." Out of the 12 and 12 runs, Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Page 92. Now that we're in AA and sober, and winning back the esteem of our friends and business associates, we find that we still need to exercise special vigilance. As an insurance against big shotism, we can often check ourselves by remembering that we are today sober only by the grace of God, and that any success that we may be having is far more His success than ours. Finally, we begin to see that all people, including ourselves, are to some extent emotionally ill, as well as frequently wrong. And then we approach true tolerance and see what real love for our fellows actually means. It will become more and more evident as we go forward that it is pointless to become angry, or to get hurt by people who, like us, are suffering from the pains of growing up. Such a radical change in our outlook will take time, maybe a lot of time. Not many people can truthfully assert that they love everybody. Most of us admit that we have loved but a few, and that have been quite indifferent to many of the others, so long as none of them gave us trouble. And as for the remainder, well, we've really disliked or hated them. Although these attitudes are common enough, we AAs find we need something much better in order to keep our balance. We can't stand if we hate deeply. The idea that we can be possessively loving of a few, can ignore the many, and can continue to fear or hate anybody has to be abandoned, if only a little at a time. Daily Reflection, September 17th. Freedom from fear. When, with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot, then we found we could live at peace with ourselves and show others who still suffered the same fears that they could get over them too. We found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 122. Material values ruled my life for many years during my active alcoholism. I believed that all my possessions would make me happy, yet I still felt bankrupt after I attained them. When I first came into AA, I found out a new way of living. As a result of learning to trust others, I began to believe in a power greater than myself. Having faith freed me from the bondage of self. As material gains were replaced by the gifts of the Spirit, my life became manageable. I then chose to share my experiences with other alcoholics. 24 hours a day, September 17th. AA Thought for the Day. Step 1 is, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. This step states the membership requirement of AA. We must admit that our lives are disturbed. We must accept the fact that we are helpless before the power of alcohol. We must admit that our need for drinking is stronger than us and that we need help. We must be willing to accept the bitter fact that we cannot drink like other people. And we must make, as gracefully as possible, surrender to the inevitable fact that we must stop drinking. Is it difficult for me to admit that I am different from normal drinkers? Meditation for the day. Show us the way, O Lord, and let us walk in thy paths. There seems to be a right way to live and a wrong way. You can make a practical test. When you live the right way, things seem to work out well for you. When you live the wrong way, things seem to work out badly for you. You seem to take out of life about what you put into it. If you disobey the laws of nature, the chances are that you will be unhealthy. If you disobey the spiritual and moral laws, chances are that you'll be unhappy. By following the laws of nature and the spiritual laws of honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love, you can expect to be reasonably healthy and happy. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to live the right way. I pray that I may follow the path that leads to a better life. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. And man, some great reading today as always. Really like the sick man's prayer. That was one that really helped me early on. And I realized too, by looking at my own inventory, that wow, I was the one to blame for a lot of this stuff. My biggest resentment was always me. And I almost looked at myself as an outsider. You know, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to myself? Like, how can I get over this? God, save me from being angry at myself. Save me from resenting myself, hating myself. Thy will be done. And I realized if I look at myself from the perspective of another person, I see myself almost objectively and I think, well, that guy, that Rob guy, he's a child of God. Who am I to disrespect him? He's just a human being. He's going to mess up sometimes. But he's trying. I can tell he's trying. And then, of course, I heard much later after the sick man's prayer, bless them, change me. It's really exhausting trying to change everybody else around us, isn't it? It doesn't work out very well for us. But I can change me. What's my part in this story? Do I need to make any amends? What's my part? And whether I do or not, I try to change. What part of myself was affected, you know? And I try to pray about that and change that. It's not even really about the other person. They're kind of in their own world, doing their own thing. But the bottom line is, guys, all this stuff is stuff I learned just by going to the fellowships and by reading this stuff. None of this is stuff I knew beforehand. As I said, probably so many times it's ad nauseum, but when I came into the fellowships, I thought I would just stop drinking. I had no idea that I had a guideline for a new life, a new way of thinking. I mean, it's completely different from my old way of thinking. But it is so amazing when you can look in the mirror and finally accept the person you see. I didn't think I'd ever feel that way. That is what my higher power has given me through sobriety, through the fellowship, and through the 12 steps. But it's one day at a time. I can't rest on my laurels at all. Today is a brand new day, as I said at the very beginning, and I got to work it. But I'm joyfully and absolutely grateful and happy to work these steps because I know there are some amazing benefits from it. And just like 24 hours a day said, hey, why don't you try it for a little while? You might be surprised with how good the results end up being over time. So with that, my friends, that's all we have for today. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA or NA or Al-Anon or any other sect, denomination, organization, anything. I'm just a drunk. But I am grateful that you're here. And if you are sober, you're a miracle. And if you're not sober, but somehow you're hearing this, you're a miracle too because you're alive. And you have the opportunity to change for the better. And it all begins with a choice. I hope that today you'll make a choice that benefits your life and the lives of those around you. So with that, my friends, if we're given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.